Hello and welcome to Jamie TV. Thank you very much for joining me. Who's in the chat? Hello, Joe. Hi, Samuel. Thank you for being here. So welcome to part 3 of the... Hi, Skies Watcher. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to part 3 of the Cubasis 3 workshop. Now, I've had loads and loads of people asking me, can I show how to do this? Can I show how to do that? I've covered quite a lot of it. There's still some stuff to go. And a lot of questions have been about connectivity. How do you get certain instruments in and out of Cubasis 3? So I'm going to try and show you some of the stuff that may be a little bit less obvious. I've shown the simple stuff like how to get, you know, a regular instrument like a guitar into your interface and into Cubasis 3, and how to set up your controller keyboard and use some MIDI to play an AUV3 or internal instrument. That's the word I was struggling for. I'm going to look at some of the less obvious things. So just let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay. Hey fam, thank you for being here, dude. Right. Just let me know if my mic level's okay. I'm trying to ride things a little bit higher than I have in recent streams because a couple of I can't speak. A couple of people have said that the streams are a little bit on the quiet side, although I think that live streams on YouTube do tend to be. Okay, right, so let me know that whenever you're ready. And I use some intro music, so you could let me know whether that's a nice level 2. Okay, so you can always pump up the volume. Sam, are you having a bit of a house music evening, dude? Thank you very much, fam. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Joe. Right. So let's just go to this screen here and make sure this camera's still working. It is. It's gone to sleep on me a couple of times recently. Right. Now, Dean, dude. Hey, thanks for joining us. Thank you. It's like royalty when Dean pops in because his streams are just so awesome. Dean, you're going to laugh at this. Here's something I'm going to use to demonstrate something to you in this stream today. This is, if I can just get this into shot, I'm just a little restricted by the length of the cables. Here we go. This is a beautiful thing. Hey Doug, look at this. Have you got one of these? This is the Boss Dr. Rhythm DR5. The reason I wanted to hold it up to camera is because the screen on it is not backlit, and it's gonna be lurking over here. I'm gonna have it on the desk here, and it's gonna be, yeah, kind of in the dark. Stand there, don't fall over. It's going to be kind of in the dark. So when I'm putting my hand over here, this is what I'm pressing, right? It's a bit difficult for me to get some light on it without it reflecting on the iPad screen, and at the end of the day, the iPad screen is all important to these streams. So, okay, so the reason I'm using the DR5 to demonstrate this is I don't have any like hardware synths or, you know, sound modules or anything like that. All of my synth stuff, all of my drum machine stuff is software. I like to spend my money on things with strings, right? Apart from that one thing. Now, if yes, pressing in the dark, fam. Now, there have been many classic drum machines come from Roland, and that is not one of them. It is. It sounds like the early 90s in a very unimpressive kind of a way, but it will help us to demonstrate one of the things that we're doing today. Right, so here's how I've got this set up. So I bought this cable, right, off Amazon, and it is a USB to 2 MIDI leads, and the 2 MIDI leads go into the DR5 on the top here, and interestingly, they are labelled the wrong way round. So the out goes to the in goes to the out, right? And the USB is just going into my USB hub, and the hub is joined into the horrible white proprietary Apple dongle thing that gets all my controllers and my audio interface into the iPad. So that's how the MIDI side of this is set up. I also have 2 leads because it's a stereo out, right? Hey Josh, thanks for joining us. I've got 2 leads coming out of the DR5 into my audio interface so that I can get audio from the DR5 into my iPad via my interface, and I can also get MIDI in and out of the DR5, right? So to get some, we'll start with the audio. To get some audio coming out of the DR5 into Cubasis 3, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to add a track, and I'm going to add a real audio track because it's real audio that we're recording. And I'm going to go to my routing here. Maybe I should do this with the mouse and point. There, look, routing. And we're going to change this mono input to a stereo input. And if I arm this now, you may hear a little bit of background noise because the DR5 is in the process of passing away, right? It started making this unpleasant little background noise, which I think means that it's not got long left, and nobody will cry when its time is done. So I'm going to arm that. Can we hear it? Very faintly. I can hear it. The absolute best name for the dongle is the Clagnut. Correct, Sam. I absolutely despise them. The worst thing about them is not even the price. The worst thing is the fact that it's this horrible bright white that just looks dreadful on any kind of camera. Today I've got it kind of tucked behind the iPad. Right. So now I've armed the track. I've got a stereo input. So if I press one of these awesome little rubber buttons on the DR5, we have an instrument coming into Cubasis 3, right? Now, the thing about the DR5, ever so quickly, is when Roland, they decided to call it a Boss drum machine rather than the Roland one. I don't know why. I mean, it's the design of it was designed for guitar players. So the idea was, in the early 90s, before backing tracks were a common thing, there were a lot of guitar vocalists who would go out and do solo spots, and they'd use drum machines as backing. So the idea of the DR5 was that you could program your own drum parts in, and there were other instruments as well. So you could program bass and some piano, some keys, some brass, that sort of thing. You could have up to 4 instruments at once. So it's got a whole bunch of instruments in it, all of which are desperately unimpressive. And the layout of the drum machine is fascinatingly awful. It was supposed to make a lot of sense to guitar players. That's who it was aimed at. But really, it's just universally hated by everyone. Hey Keith, thank you for being here. Right, so I played a note. You were impressed. Let's put a little bit of reverb on it just to make it sound a little bit better. I'm going to use the new audio kit reverb, which looks like this, and will make the DR5 sound a little bit better, okay? So now I've got real audio coming in to Cubasis 3 from that drum machine, and I am going to just record something just to prove a point. To do that, I have to arm record. And now we'll do it. Can't get my thumb to it. Now, as you'll see, that's my excuse anyway. My thumb's not long enough, look, to quite reach the rubber buttons. But, you know, it proves the point for now. So you will see we have recorded some real audio. Thank you very much, Dean. I threw it together in the first workshop as just sort of a quick demo thing. I used all things that sound really impressive without having to play anything very clever. Suggestion for this track: knobbing in the dark. Okay, I like that, fam. Can anyone do better than that? All right, so as you will see, right, we've recorded some real audio. Let me just zoom in on this so you can see something. The output of the DR5 is very weak on one side. I don't know why. I don't really care because, you know, it's going to pass on soon, but you'll see that it's much weaker on one side than another. That's got nothing to do with Cubasis. That's the drum machine. Right, so here's the real audio, and I'll just press the wrong button. I'll just press play just so you can hear it soloed, just to prove that we recorded it. Hey, Fretless. Thanks for joining us, man. Thanks for being here. Right, so there's my desperately unimpressive, bad playing, out of time rubber button pushing. That was awful, so let's just delete that off, right? We'll get rid of that. Now, what if we wanted to send some MIDI out of Cubasis into the DR5? We should be able to do that, right? So I'm just going to unarm that track for a moment, get rid of that background noise, and I'm going to add a Midi track. And I don't need an instrument on this track, so I'm just going to back out of all these menus and go to no instrument, and I will arm the track so that when I play my MIDI keyboard, it should play the DR5. But we just need to set a couple of things up first. So let's go to routing, and we're going to need to have MIDI through on. And what else do we need? We're going to need USB MIDI channel 1. And then let me just delete off that bit of not required audio there. And we'll arm this again. Okay, so now my MIDI controller, which is here, is kind of just, it's just here. This white thing, it's iRig keys, just out of shot. I couldn't quite get everything in shot. That actually, I could move this camera a bit, couldn't I? I could do this. Yeah. Why didn't I think of that before? Idiot. Okay. Right, so it wasn't cool, Keith. Don't be nice. It was some dreadful playing. I'm blaming the rubber keys. Okay, so now I am playing the DR5 with my controller keyboard, which is going into Cubasis via my USB hub, and we're sending MIDI into the DR5, playing that instrument, and it's coming back into Cubasis. So now I can play the sound in there without having to press those ghastly rubber buttons in the dark. I can use this keyboard. So now I have no excuse for playing something appalling, he said. Let's see. If I press record now, we've got the MIDI track armed. We've got the audio track armed. So we can record both things. We've got a hanging note there, a hanging MIDI note. I don't know why that happened, but it stopped, fortunately. So we'll pretend it didn't happen. Okay, so we've recorded some real audio and we've recorded some MIDI notes. So what I could do now is I could go and edit that MIDI and send out the MIDI again, because it wasn't very brilliant, really. And also one note that I definitely pressed down on it, no sound came out. No idea whether that's the controller or Cubasis or the DR5 at fault, but I would put my money on it being the DR5. Yes, the only drum machine from Roland destined to never be a classic. What's Sam saying? That's the classic general MIDI string sound sampled in many SNES games. Yes, I guess it is. Yeah, I chose that because it's possibly the least awful of all the sounds. Now, what are we doing? Right, so I'm going to delete this audio. Right, we'll delete that bit there as well. Okay, and let's just have a look at this MIDI. I kind of liked my first phrase was okay. And then, what did we play here? Right, it missed that note off there. Let's just stick a note there. Should it be here? I think it should come in on that chord there, so let's just stick a note there. It should maybe be about half a bar long, I think. Stick it there, come back here. Okay, why is it not sounding that note? Okay, I have no idea. Can't get my head around where the timing should be. Let's take it back a bit further, so I'm getting... Right, okay. And then... Doesn't really matter anyway. It's not a demonstration. Doesn't matter if it's terrible. I see. I see. Okay. I see. So it should be there. Right. Okay. So that note should be shorter. Let me make it shorter. There we are. Okay. Then we'll drag this one over. There we are. Right. That should do us. And then I just want in the second half, I just want that to repeat. Right. That'll do us. And then, yeah. Copy that. Paste it over there. I think that should be alright. Play the last half. Let's see. Alright, it's not the greatest composition ever, but that doesn't really matter. We're just demonstrating the thing. I'm going to turn up the DR5 ever so slightly. The more I turn it up, the more that background noise it's making will kick in. So I don't want to be turning it up too much. Right, and then we'll just we'll unarm that track and let's record that MIDI onto this audio track here. I keep forgetting to take the loop off, but and also we got a hanging MIDI out there. Don't know why, but hey Fretless, you came late to the show. Is it MIDI through in Cubasis 3 and MIDI in the DR5? Audio interface MIDI out to DR5. Yes, that's it. Okay. If you're not sure, go back to the start when this finishes, watch it again, then I get another view out of it, right? Okay. Any questions anybody has that's not clear in the video, you can always message me. I'm very pleased for that kind of thing to happen. Message me directly if you like. Okay, so I think I've kind of, shown that works despite the hanging MIDI note, which is probably because the DR5 is ready for the bin. So let's just unarm that, and then I'll show you something else we can do with an external instrument that produces MIDI. So I'm going to just add another MIDI track, and let's put a cool synth on here. Let's put DRC on here, because DRC is just my favourite synth, because Imaginando are awesome. My Imaginando badge. If you're wondering what this badge is here, like you're probably not, but you see that? You see what that is? My good friend Mr. Andrew Barber, who won't be watching because he's a pleb, bought me that. Okay, let's go choose a sound, make this bigger, go down to constellations. There's some great sounds in here. There's some down at the bottom of the list here that I really like. I think that might be one of them. There we are. That's an awesome sound. Okay, now if I can remember how to set this up right, we should be able to play DRC with the DR5. So, how do I do this? Go to routing, and we'll want USB MIDI, I believe. And then we'll need to arm the track, and I'm not getting anything. There's something I've not done yet. Let's see. I made a note over here in case I forgot how to do it. Can't read it because it's all the way over there. Yeah, MIDI in. That's the right thing. Don't think I need MIDI through. Okay. Not getting any MIDI here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't need MIDI through. And don't need MIDI output, I just need MIDI input. I wonder. If it could just be this. I shan't dwell on it if it is. Right, well, we've got all inputs selected, so that's right. We've got USB MIDI selected, so that's correct. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that should theoretically be working. Can anyone in the chat see anything that I've glaringly obvious that I've missed? No. It's probably this then. I wonder if I just wobble the MIDI out. That pad I just played, Keith. Yeah, that's DRC. Yeah, that's DRC. If that's the sound you meant. So, I don't know. There's something. Right, so that's back to my controller. Switch it back to USB MIDI. And nothing. I think that's probably the DR5 at fault. I can't see that. No, I don't think it is MIDI through, Sam. It's not. I didn't have it on earlier today, and I've actually written down my settings from earlier today when I tested it, and and I've got everything the same. So I think it's probably just the MIDI connection from the DR5 that's dodgy. Yeah, I just wanted to show that you can record MIDI from an external instrument, but oh well, I can't do that. So I'll show you something else. Let's show you something that I got quite a lot of questions about. I'm going to need a new Cubasis project. So we'll go and make a new project. Right, now, a lot of people ask me about recording AUM into Cubasis and the correct way to do it. Right. Now, recording AUM into Cubasis is pretty straightforward, really, but you have to do things in a very exacting order. If you don't, then either one or the other app or both will crash and the world will fall on its side and go like that a bit. So let's just open AUM as well. And I've got like a little bit of a thing I was messing about with. So we'll just open this project. I just need to check that it's not going to be too heavy to use whilst I'm also sharing my screen into the stream. So let's just see if this plays okay. And then I'm playing the left hand part with my MPK Mini, the first edition MPK Mini, which is underneath this camera. So it's just down here. I couldn't get it all in shot. You know, it was a bargain. I got it off eBay for 25 quid with delivery. Has the worst keys of any MIDI controller keyboard ever, but the pads are awesome, and I like the twisty turning knobs a lot. So okay, what was I doing? Right, so I'm going to do this. Not sure that sound's going to be loud enough. Okay, and I want to record it into Cubasis 3. So what I have to do is I want some real audio coming into Cubasis 3. So I add a real audio track, and we go here, we go to routing, press on mono input, and change it to into app, then come down and find AUM port 1. Right, it opens up AUM. You go down here, first instrument output, we're going to go to Interrupt Audio, and you'll see in the list, let me do this with my mouse, you'll see in the list, Cubasis, Interrupt Audio, output 1. Select that, right? Then go back to Cubasis. If you screw up the order of this, it's going to die and you'll have to start again. Another audio track, and you can do up to 16 of these, but I'm just going to do a few for an example. Then we do it again. Interrupt Audio, AUM port 2, and go and change this. Now you'll see in the list we've got output number 2. And a nice little Cubasis icon appears down here at the bottom. Right, so let's go and do the last one. Add an audio track and input into app, AUM port 3. Here we go. There's our third one. Right, now what you cannot do is sync this. There's no way to kind of start this audio recording from a specific point in Cubasis 3. You just start it recording and start playing. And then you move it after to where you want it to be. So if I press play, actually no, I'll need to press record first. So now it's recording in Cubasis 3. You'll see these little record buttons down here at the bottom of the fader, and they all come on at the same time when you press one. And then I'll press play. Then I shall attempt to play this something like in time. this, I've asked AUM to do something that's a little bit too much. Yeah, it's not worked. Okay, it's not worked. Probably because I didn't arm those tracks actually. What I'm going to do is just go back and I'm going to lose the effects here because the DSP is off the scale. And let's just see what happens now. Right, that might well work. Okay, so let's try that again. So for anyone who's interested, what I've got is the Akai Mini, which is out of shot, is playing a bass sequence in Bliss Alpha, and the iRig keys is playing a lovely sound in Wavelet XL, and Sidekick by Bliss is just playing itself. Right, there you see now we have some audio in Cubasis 3. Well, lucky it didn't crash, to be honest, considering how high the DSP was. Now, if you look at this, look, it's... Oh, actually, what was my BPM? My BPM was 100 beats per minute. And in Cubasis 3, I've not changed it. It's still 120. So let's just change that. Make that 100 BPM. And if I can just... If I can switch off snap to bar, make this smaller, zoom in, and we'll drag this first kick to this bar line, right? And now you should see that you can see those kicks, you can see the waveform there. That look. It's all on the bar. So you could do this and drag something into time, is what I'm trying to illustrate. Right, now, switch off the records and these, right? And then let's go and play this. Now I can mix this. Now look down here at the DSP. So what's the point of this? The point of this is I had a nice thing going in AUM. It sounded pretty cool, but I had 2 synths, 2 effects, and I had Sidekick going. And I'm screen sharing my iPad as well. Don't forget that takes up some DSP. And the DSP was off the scale because I had Cubasis 3 open as well, fair enough, but still, it was a lot of DSP. Now, it's just real audio. It's just real audio captured inside Cubasis 3. And the DSP is going as high as 11. So those effects that I couldn't add in AUM because it was taking up too much DSP, I can now add them in Cubasis 3. And in Cubasis 3, it's a lot easier to mix and well, it's just a much better platform to be mixing and adding effects and stuff like that. This is the kind of app that you would use to finish off your projects when you've maybe created them elsewhere. in my opinion. See you later, Fretless dude. And by the way, if anyone isn't aware of Fretless is a great bass player with his own YouTube channel, and I suggest you go and check him out. He knows what he's on about. Fantastic player, does a lot of iOS stuff. So do check out his channel. Right, now, what time we got left? Maybe just enough time to show you one more connectivity thing. Right, if I'm quick and don't pissy pants about and don't waffle too much. Okay, so I need another thing. I don't think I actually have anything in this project here. I think that, yeah, I just titled it and that's all I've got. Right, close AUM now. Okay, now the thing that we did with the DR5, which was about 80% successful, you can also do with soft synths. So let's just say I've got a synth that for whatever reason, I don't know what, I don't want to open it in Cubasis 3. I've got it open standalone. Let's use Model D because it's awesome. And I'm going to, having learned from experience, I'm going to turn it down rather a lot. It's just so loud. Right. I want to play a DRC from Cubasis 3. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to add a Midi track and go to routing. And let's see now. I need output Model D. There we are, right? Model D. And if I arm this track, I've got my controller keyboard going. I've got my controller keyboard playing the default piano sound in Cubasis 3. Which I don't want that. So I'm just going to go to the mixer and just turn it down. That's all we need to do there. I could just I could just put no instrument, but that'll do. And then I think I need MIDI through. Yeah, press MIDI through, and now I'm playing Model D, which is still super loud. Right, so I'm playing Model D, which is outside of Cubasis. So how would I record it into Cubasis? We would go here and add an audio track. And then go to routing, input, interrupt, find Model D. And now, because I've pressed interrupt, now I've got these little icons up here. We've got a button to go back to Cubasis with. There's a return to 0 to go back to the beginning of your project, a play and record button. So let's just go back to Cubasis there. And if I press record, if I arm record, and let's just go over here to do this. Right, what am I going to play? I have no idea. It's really simple. Okay, so I'm going to press record. There, I didn't even use a metronome. Okay, so as you will see, we have recorded a MIDI part and the real audio coming in from Model D. Let's just mute that. Hey Gerald, thank you for joining us. Pleasure to see you. Now we've got we've recorded some MIDI. We've recorded the real audio coming into Cubasis 3. But what if we had more than one synth outside of Cubasis 3. Then what we would do is, what time is it? Okay, we're all right. I'm going to open Cauldron, and now in preferences I can select which MIDI channel I want to send to Cauldron. This is set to MIDI channel 2. So if I go back to Cubasis, let's just mute these and we'll add a MIDI track and go and turn it down. And then we've got, in routing, we've got all MIDI ports. We want to go out on MIDI channel 2. We'll need MIDI through. And there we are. We have no sound. That's because I've not selected Cauldron down there. We've still got no sound because I've changed the wrong thing to channel 2. Hang on a minute. There we are. Right, so trying to rush because I want to show you this before I run out of time. MIDI ports here. This is for inputs, right? Channel 1 is fine for that. That's my controller keyboard. This is the output, Cauldron, which is now on MIDI channel 2. So let's just also add an audio track, input, interrupt audio, find Cauldron, there we are, there's Cauldron, back to Cubasis, and now I can record that one. So there we go. All right. And it's super loud. Apologies. Now, volume in Cauldron is there. All right, so now okay, let's just record something that is actually, no, let's demonstrate this better. Okay, I'm going to delete this audio that we recorded for Model D, and let's just put in a note for Cauldron. That'll do. There. Wrong one. There we are. Stupid hippie. Right. I think that was an A. Let's put a nice low A in. Ooh, yeah, that's nice and earth shaky. Right. Stretch that out a bit. Okay, right. Now, I don't need this MIDI armed. I need Model D armed. Don't need that MIDI armed. Need Cauldron armed. Press record. I made a mistake with Model D, and I think I know what it is. I think that needs to be, no, that needs to be Model D MIDI output. No, that's right. That's right. Okay, let's just go and check Model D. MIDI coming in from Cubasis 3. Let's put that on channel 1 there. And then It's not working. I've got 6 minutes to fix it. Let's see now. The MIDI is coming in from Cubasis on MIDI channel 1. That's right. We don't need any MIDI outputs. That should be okay. Hang on a minute. I'm not getting any sound from there. Why is that? Bear with me. I'm thinking. MIDI through channel 1. Yes. Yes. That's working on channel 2. Yes. Okay. It's making me cross now. I wonder. Let's just open Model D again. Just check this MIDI. Cubasis 3, channel 1. Okay. Go to Cubasis and will I need to just do that again? Might need to just select that again, right? And then okay, now press record. The crackling sound of thinking could also be a good track name, fam. Okay, so now just to prove a point, right? For solo, this track here. Right, so we've recorded Model D in from outside, and at the same time, we recorded an immense sounding note from Cauldron, which is also an incredible synth, which I love very much, because they were on separate MIDI channels. So these things are, so these two synths are both outside of Cubasis 3. Now you might say, well, Jamie, why did you pick those synths? Because, you know, they're both AV3 and you could have just used them inside of Cubasis 3. But it's just to illustrate the point about how you would do this with synths that are just inter-app audio. Or there might be some specific reason why you want to use a synth outside of Cubasis 3 but record it in, because sometimes, you know, like after there's been a recent iOS update, an app might still be working fine standalone, but it might be having some issues inside of a DAW. So it's just good to know these things. Okay, any quick questions before I go? And well, you can't record audio directly from AV3 to an audio track without freeze. No, you can't yet, Sam. Oh, and I forgot to tell you. Right, okay. So, gotta be quick. Right. News from Steinberg. There's an update coming. That's it. I'm not holding anything back. That's all I know. I don't know when. I don't know what it will entail. I just know that they're working on one, and one is coming. And that's it. Okay? So, that was the news. Thank you very much, everyone who joined me. I really, really appreciate you being here. And in the comments, just throw any questions that you have about Cubasis 3 for me to add to my list. any mods that, any updates, features, bugs, stuff like that I can pass on to Steinberg. All right. Thanks ever so much for joining me. Take care of yourselves. Be super good people. Don't be spants about and make lots of music. Bye bye.